Good afternoon. This is Shari Tisdell with Luxury in Black. I'm your host. Hope you're having a fabulous Thursday afternoon. It is absolutely gorgeous here in the Midwest, enjoying all of the sunshine and almost 80-degree temperatures. As I've stated before, it is definitely moving into my favorite time of the year. I love spring, I love warmth and summer. So I am one that is just all excited to see all the bloom and the transition of going into a new season. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed. If you've had spring break or if you're still on spring break, you're enjoying your time off. If you're traveling, pray safe travels and that you are getting refreshed, revived, and renewed and ready to step in to a brand new chapter. And as I said, as we enter into this new season, we have a great show today. I'm excited to have back our guest, phenomenal speaker, Carmen White-Yannick, who is going to be continuing our conversation on the importance of self-help and mental health and just overall seasoning. She's just going to continue to share with us some great nuggets that we will definitely be able to utilize in our lives that are going to really be very transformational. And that's always a good thing. Well, want to highlight briefly a little bit because, as we're closing out the month where we've been celebrating all month Women Who Rock with her story. We've had some phenomenal guests this month, and it's so exciting to see all the creators that are in the the space and the industry who are transforming, who are doing great things, who are initiating change, who are stepping into purpose, who are carving out their own paths. So excited to talk about that, to celebrate that, and to encourage that movement. And we will continue to do that because one thing that's for sure, Black excellence is everything. And it is definitely most important. And kind of jumping into that, want to just share a little bit. I was sent some information. I'm always wanting to share resources and information. We have told you in terms of being able to find incredible Black products and support Black creators and to shop Black. There's so many different resources available that sometimes we're just not aware of what's out there. And you've heard me talk about shop bet.com. Shop, you can go to blackeverything.com. And then I was sent a new one that I was not aware of, actually by my daughter-in-law. It's nothing like having support from your family who love what you do and always keeping their eyes abreast and keeping you on top of things. But she sent me a link to a fabulous site, and it is one that I'm really excited about. It's called Black Now, Nile, Black Now, blacknow.com. And it is a beautiful site that really supports Black creators in the areas of hairstylists. You can find restaurants, beauty supply, hotels and villas, even grocery stores. You can actually request if you're not seeing certain products that you would like to know more about. You can also request a category. But these are all Black owned luxury creators in the luxury wear, from handbags and perfume, home and kitchen, wedding, lingerie, makeup, skincare. When I tell you, it gives you the full gambit. It is a beautifully designed website, very easy to navigate through. It is created by, they're called the Now Tribe, a group of, as they state, kingdom builders out of the diaspora. But I'm telling you, this is a wonderful, wonderful site. Certainly one that I encourage people to add to their list and certainly check out. And then again, my thing, always support. Support is so important. So I did want to share that piece of information. as well. And then on the local front, we have a local group here called in in Tulsa. If you're in the Tulsa, my area, certainly want you to check out. It's an event that's going to be coming up. One of my pets, several of the Black creators here in Tulsa on the show who are doing great things. You've heard me talk about Renee Bramlett from the Shade Room Eyewear, and we have a couple others that's going to be on the show as well. But they are a part of a group called Business 2.0 and located in Tulsa in the box yard, which is adjacent to historic Greenwood, west of Greenwood in downtown Tulsa. It's a retail establishment called the Box Yard that is now almost predominantly African American Black owned businesses locating in that space, and some great businesses that are located there that we're really excited about, and a lot of new ones. If you haven't been down there recently, you definitely want to go and check it out on April the 12th at from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And the address is at 502 East 3rd Street, again in downtown Tulsa. And the first 50 people will receive a cool swag bag. As you know, we talk about if you're in this area, I've showcased on luxuryandblack.com. The Shade Room has incredible eyewear and eyewear with a purpose, because if you're like me, you need to not only be fabulous, but you need to be able to see that you are. She does both, right? She takes care of you from your optical and vision. She's really handles that really, really well. She provides prescription eyewear as well as giving you full education on the importance of eye care. There's sh- boutique, female boutique shop, men boutique shops. There's Lamique Beauty Eyewear. There's now nail salon in there. If you're wanting to shop and eat, there are two fabulous restaurants in there, Rose Wings. Then you have Mama's House, a full soul food experience with a rooftop that you would want to experience. There's a flower shop in there, jewelry. It is now spreading out to the whole gambit. So again, mark your calendars. That is something definitely you should put on. If you've never been down to the box yard, make a special point to save that date. Again, Saturday, April the 12th from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Go check it out. It is going to be a great, great time, great event. And I think you will be pleasantly surprised of the number of Black creators that are in that space who are ready to really do some empowering things. And again, we want to encourage shopping Black and creating Black wealth. So I definitely wanted to put a shout out to Renee with everything that she's continuing to do in that area, that we definitely want to continue to support that. Want to continue just an update on some information. I enjoy being able to talk about what's going on in the fashion industry and some of the hot topics that's really going down, that's exciting, that we're making a lot of strides, a lot of positive moves. I'm very excited to see that in the industry. A lot of Black creators are being very intentional, working together and really opening up spaces and making a huge mark. And one that's significant initiative that is want to highlight is Bozama St. John's Advocacy for Black Designers. Bozama St. John, former marketing executive and entrepreneur, recently joined the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Excuse me. And as a result of that, she is intentionally showcasing outfits by Black designers on the show, which is absolutely phenomenal. I give applause, because that is really awesome. So excited to see so many Black designers getting the full recognition and, getting in, global space on the big screen, on the red carpets. in all the right places, getting their designs out in the public. So we're excited to hear that the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills will be showcasing outfits from Black designers, aiming to honor the heritage and to promote Black talent in the fashion industry. And she states that she saw this as a great opportunity to represent single mothers raising Black teenage girls and to bring authentic narratives to a mainstream media. So, again, we want to give a round of applause because that is really, really cool and glad to see that happen. As a result, I'm going to have to tap back in and pay attention and make it. And me be intentional in watching the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills again. And again, one of my very first and will always be my first lady, former first lady Michelle Obama, is embracing more playful and contemporary fashion with her style. You know, she's been a style maverick since she stepped on the platform. We have been watching her and following her and applauding her style and designs. And she is always elegant and a champion from the time that she was in the White House till today. She is now helping a longtime stylist, Meredith Coop, wearing her bold and modern outfits that exemplify smart casual looks, and stated she is her next recent favorite fashion choice because she embodies power and strength. And again, you know, hats off because, you know, Michelle never misses. She always makes that mark. Again, want to continue celebrating the initiative with McDonald's being one of our corporate leaders who really support Black fashion designers. They launched the Black and Positively Golden Change of Fashion program, which addresses the underrepresentation of Black designers in the fashion industry. And this initiative currently is pairing 5 emerging Black designers in the industry for a year-long mentorship program that provides resources, financial support, national exposure. And then during New York Fashion Week, McDonald's expanded the effort with the Show Up and Show Out and Black movement, which encourages consumers to support and wear Black owned brands. So, again, we want to give applause to McDonald's for standing up and continuing to be that leader in the marketplace that really supports Black creators. And we've got, as I said, some amazing things taking place that we want to make sure that you stay abreast and can take advantage of that's happening locally in your area and all areas, but particularly that's going on globally. Where we're going to take a few moments, quick break. I'm going to come back, and when I do, we will have the phenomenal Carmen White-Yannick. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back. Hello, Carmen. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me now, Shari?
And how
Awesome.
are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
That is awesome. Have you been enjoying this wonderful spring weather? You know,
Oh my gosh.
now are you enjoying?
So many beautiful days. I was out yesterday. I was praying that I did not have to cancel today because I did not feel well into last night. So I'm very, very thankful and grateful that I feel amazing today. And I'm excited about being on with you for our part 2.
We're going to have to jump into it because you were throwing so many nuggets at the first of the month. I was like, she's got to get all her time because I don't want the people to miss what you have to say because it was so, so good. And I was like, the perfect ending to close out her story. We just have to, leave people with everything they need to take it in through this as we are entering in the second half of the quarter of this year, that we know that we can live a life in excellence. And I love, as always, as you talk about unapologetically, and wanted you just to expand again on I love the season that you're in and sharing how you're navigating that and where you see it going.
Yeah, thanks for that. One of the things that I added, someone asked me a question Monday evening, and I was sitting with some people at dinner, and I realized that one, that's not something like I haven't done that like in a group, like groups of people in an evening out dinner, that kind of thing. And this this woman, I came there to meet her. Her name is Emma Willis, and I she asked me a question about, how are you using your time now? And I have been saying that I really am in this. I know we've heard this phraseology a lot about I'm in my soft era. And I added that evening, I'm not only in my soft era, I'm in my luxury era. And what that means for me is I have full agency of my time.
Mm, I like that.
I do not spend my time with anything or anyone that I do not want to. It just doesn't happen. I just don't do it. And that's not an old phenomenon. It's rather new, but I made a conscious decision, and because of it, I can honor my time. I can honor my word. I to be fair, I really wanted to be here today.
Oh,
But I will say this to
yeah,
you. Had I woke up this morning not feeling well, I would have called you and said, "Sherry, I want to be there, but I am not feeling well." That's how that for me, that is an additional part of that softness of where I don't feel so obligated that I obligate myself outside of being well. Now that was a whole word
yeah.
there.
That's a real word because because we push and push and push,
Yes,
and
yes.
we are not we don't honor ourselves
Mm-mm,
like we should,
mm-mm.
and we're always in that in that regret mode, like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. I knew I did too much. As a result, it's causing whatever, whatever. And then we live in those regrets, and having the courage, and what I'm hearing you say, to be honest and to be okay with, I have to put me first. And that's okay, because that's a hard thing to do.
And and what I will say to that is it becomes harder when we deselect ourselves. Every time I have a great friend. I call her Dr. J, Dr. Jamie Edie. She is a birth and death doula. Most people know about birth doulas, but death doulas are people who help folks navigate loss.
I've never heard of that. Wow.
Right. So navigating your grief. And one of the things that she says, one of the quotes that I love that she says all the time is that when grief that is that is swallowed is never digested. I'll say it again.
Yes.
Grief that is swallowed is never digested. And what does that mean? That means every time we hold that regret with ourselves, it has to go somewhere. Every time every time we say, "Yeah, but it's so hard to do that." Well, the more we say it's hard, the more we talk ourselves out of doing it.
Right.
Because we actually it has to become a practice or a praxis, praxis, a praxis of this is something I'm developing. You don't just walk into the gym and you've never lifted 100 pounds and decide I'm gonna lift 100 pounds today. You're gonna kill yourself.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
you will really injure yourself, right? So this idea of thinking that something that is difficult for us to do, that we also don't need to have a ramp up of developing it. We have to develop the muscle of saying no. We have to develop the muscle of choosing ourselves first, because we use this example all the time, but we don't incorporate it. We don't engage with it. We don't sit with it. We use this example of, when you get on the plane, they said, put the oxygen on you first.
Right.
Then you do that for a minor or someone else who's not able to do it for themselves. But we don't do that. We don't practice that. And so we're out here running, thinking, oh, if I run an oxygen, that's okay. Let me just get an oxygen tank. Let me get some artificial oxygen and just keep myself going. And that's not it. That is not it. So we have to practice it. And so I've been practicing. No, I don't have to be there because that's on the schedule or somebody else's agenda for the community or for the city or for the church or for the this or for the that. I was telling this lady, I said, I miss stuff all the time. And then I had to correct myself. I said, I don't miss it. I am intentionally absent.
That's powerful.
And that's different than
That's
saying
deep. I'm intentionally.
Yeah, I'm intentionally.
Wow.
Because we get into this FOMO, a fear of missing out. I'm not missing anything because I have now developed that if joy is not internally, if I try to exude something that is not real, then I've just given you a performance.
And aren't we good with that?
Oh, we're so great with that. I mean, we're so great with masking how we really feel. And so part of and this has been a process. It has not been an overnight thing. It has been an intentional deconstruction of laboring.
And how did you even begin, or even come to you, like, I need to develop that muscle, to take those steps, like, I need to make this change and this impact in my life?
I literally began to think about the famous quote, which a lot of us don't even know. This is Herstory Month, so a lot of us don't even know where this quote comes from. But Fannie Lou Hamer was the one who said, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired."
Right.
I was getting tired of being exhausted and feeling in a space, but feeling very empty, surrounded by people, but feeling I'm in here by myself. And
Right.
so I one of the things that really began to equip me was during, I think the second wave of COVID. So when we got out of 2020, which literally took me to, I'm so exhausted. I can hardly even think.
Right.
In like 2021, I went looking for where is a safe space for me. Where's a safe space for me as a leader, as a woman, very specifically as a Black woman, as a scholarly woman, as a brilliant woman? Where's a safe space for me? Because I will be very frank in saying that church was not always a safe space for all of those parts of me. Now, some of me, but not all parts of me. And so I began looking for that space. And one Sunday morning, me and this woman, we went to the same church at different times, and she posted about this group, this online place called Pink Robe Chronicles. And I can safely say, led by Reverend Dr. Melva L. Sampson. She is a professor at Wake Divinity School in seminary in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. So there was this group, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And it wasn't all about what she was saying. It was also the sisterhood that I found. It was the
Mm-hmm.
camaraderie that I found. It was folks saying to me, Carmen, you can change your mind, that I found. It was those who were tired, who were sick and tired of being sick and tired, just like me. There were ministers, and these were lawyers and PhDs and every kind of woman inside of this group, and mostly, and this inside of, I won't say, let me say group, let me say community and village. And when I located myself.
Wow.
And because of it, it has strengthened every part, every part of me. And I'm thankful and I'm so grateful that I was led to that space. And because of that, and the reason why I'm raising this community, because even the books that I was reading from last week, those folks were coming in on live on a Sunday morning and talking about their book, talking, sharing
Mm-hmm.
sharing different things. And so I was already an avid reader and already had a pretty significant library, but let's just say my library has tripled. I don't even have enough space for all of the books that have come out of being inside of this space. And so those are the ways, and I was already on the cusp of what's next. And it can't be the same thing that it always has been. I can't do that. It has to be something that has a little bit more. And that is not to say, because I need to let me make a disclaimer right here. That is not to say, because folks who will hear me will think that I have some kind of thing against the churches that I have come from. I do not.
Oh, I know that. Yeah. Right.
Other people will hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Will hear this podcast, and so I want to say that. And I also am not speaking against those folks that I was in leadership with. And
Okay.
I and
Right.
I and I'm making that as a distinction, because oftentimes we say in leadership under. No, I was in leadership with.
Right. Mm.
So those are spaces that, have shaped who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the fingerprints of those persons, the Reverend Dr. Claudette Anderson Copeland, the bishop Carlton Demetrius
Yeah.
Wilson, those folks have shaped. And I go back even further, my own great grandfather Rufus Wilson, and all and we're in Herstory month, so I could name all of these women whose handprints are still on me. I was back in San Antonio a few months ago in December, and my Sunday school teacher, she 90 something years old, she's still singing in the choir. Come on now.
What a blessing.
A
Mm.
blessing, right? And so
Mm.
there are all of these handprints, and it's, when you study certain people, and then all of a sudden you're in the company of these folks.
Right.
That's what has shaped my knowing today. And I have more clarity today as to who I be as
Right.
a woman and as a Black woman. And I say that because there's this kind of, I don't know, trend within the church, very specifically, of where we just want to identify as Christian. No, because I showed up here as a little Black baby, little Black girl baby. That's how I showed up here.
Yes.
And and I grew up, and that is not to leave anybody out. So I want to be clear about that about that as well, that I want to be clear about that that development of who I am as a Black woman in this country. What does that look like? What does that So I'm not just a follower of the way. I'm not just a follower of Jesus or Christ consciousness, which is more accurate for me, but I am also, when I show up, nobody knows that nobody can look at me and see that I'm a Christian or that I'm a follower of Christ's consciousness, but they can see that I am a woman. They can see that I'm Black. And
Exactly.
so
Right.
that awareness is so important because it's a shaper. It shapes my experience. It shapes what I listen to. It shapes, for us, it shapes our
Mhm.
living or the lack of it, right?
Right.
It shapes all the things. And so in this herstory, as we're closing out this herstory, no, I've got to lift up these black women who have literally folks that I have never met who have shaped my life because I read their words, whether we
Mhm.
say in community, the Audrey Lord, who talks about that our silence won't save us.
Wow. I like that. Yeah.
Right? I can't be silent about who I am. I can't be silent, and we want people to be silent about who they are, and it's not equitable, and it's also not God. And I will stand 10 toes down on that.
And
You know,
why do you think that is? That or where that even came from, that we had to be silent?
this
It
morning.
really resonates with me, and it makes me go back to my early childhood, and the reason I asked that, and for me, I'm in a season where I have been breaking all those strongholds and
Uh-huh.
change, and in that process, God has been really dealing with me going back to the root of things, and it went all I can see them clearly in my mind, like this point at I was 4 and at age 6. I mean, I can see the moments,
Yep.
but in those moments, it was always I was too sassy. You you know,
Talk about it.
you got too much ain't nobody, you need to pull back. It was always to be quiet.
Absolutely. I mean, I was reading, there's a couple of things that I want to lift up as you're saying this. In Ebony Janice's book, All the Black Girls Are Activists, there's one portion of where you brought up about being sassy and
Mhm.
and also in our experience, especially as young Black girls, we heard things about being too fast and
Yes.
at very early ages, our bodies began to be policed. So
Yeah.
she's telling the story about her little cousin who was about 6 years old at the time, came walking in a room where it was mostly adults, and she started pulling down her T-shirt because there began to be chatter. She was already very conscious of her body, and she's 6.
Wow. Mm.
She's 6, but we can remember those same things,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Uh, got too much booty, you got too much this, you got too much that, and it's like, no, wait a minute now.
Stop moving like this. You're like,
Stop.
"I'm just
Right,
moving.
and putting
What am
all
I doing?"
and
Yeah,
putting all these things down. When are you speaking to the adults who are actually making the remarks about my body? You're not. And so then what happens is that we get into a space of no longer having agency over our own bodies, and our bodies get
mhm.
policed, within family, our bodies, because we all have people in our family
Yeah,
who who were saying inappropriate things, who didn't know how to keep their hands to themselves.
right.
We've experienced that. There's not a Black woman alive
Exactly.
who has not experienced that, right?
Right.
And then and let me just say, because I don't want to be sexist, because there's some Black men who had to deal with that too.
Exactly.
Who were exposed to things very, very early that we should not have been. And so,
Absolutely. Yeah.
right. So, we begin to learn those kinds of things. Okay, so I can't walk this, and then you get to church, and now you got people telling you about slips, girdles, this, spanks, and they still saying it.
Right.
And you're policing. We've had enough of that. before we were enslaved. I heard this story this morning how a woman was upset because they were teaching her daughter that before we came here to this continent, Black folks, Africans came to this continent, that they were already slaves. So that's what made it. And that's not true. So if you don't know your own history, then
Right.
people can begin to fill in those things for you. And before you know it, we're espousing and repeating colonial behavior and rhetoric and white supremacist rhetoric about our own people and about ourselves. And so I've had to really begin to shift my gaze. And what I mean by that is looking at how what kind of ideas and ideals are we handed down. Traditions, that's what a tradition is. It's
Right.
traded down,
Exactly. Right.
right? And so we get traded down these things about, because you have a shape, your body starts forming, that now it's your fault.
That part.
Right? So now I have to start picking at you about that. I've just got to start, just keep, you know, picking at and as
It's
if
something
there's,
that we can't control.
yeah, as if there's something wrong
It's
with you.
natural. Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with you. And so that little girl then becomes, a teenager, and then that teenager becomes a young adult, and then that young adult becomes an adult, and we're still dealing with these ideas about our bodies. And then we start dealing with body dysmorphia, and we see ourselves completely differently when we look in the mirror than what actually is. And it leads to a lot of different isms, and we just have to stop it. And it starts with us individually by saying, there's nothing about me that's incorrect.
Right.
The accuracy of me is so potent. It's so potent that I am literally an unrepeatable miracle. There's not another person like me. Not
And
one.
just celebrate that. I mean,
And
because
and
people don't say that part. I
and
love it. Yeah.
to celebrate that, not only with myself, looking in the mirror at myself, but also celebrating it in you.
Right.
Because now you know how we do when we see, and Black women are great about this. When we see somebody, we're like, "Girl, I see you.
Yeah.
You better
Yeah.
walk, girl. You better walk.
Right.
You better walk."
Yeah.
Oh, glasses, come on, frames.
Yes.
Come on, haircut. I see you, girl. You better style. Right?
Right.
If
Every
we
bit of that.
and
Yes.
if we see somebody else, and here's the thing for us, it don't stop with Black people. If we see a white woman, I see your beard. You better come
Yeah.
in here. You better come in here with that beard, right? We see you. We see you, polka dots. Oh, you think we don't see you? We do.
Right.
Work, girl, work, sir. Like that is
We are.
who we
Yeah.
are. That is who we are. And so selling ourselves short by making ourselves be wrong because our lips look like this, or our breasts look like this, or our thighs or our hips look like that, whatever that is, that we then make ourselves not be enough. And that comes from once we got here, we weren't celebrated in community the way that we were in
Hmm.
our villages and in our communities, from all of the places in which we were brought to this continent. And sometimes we have lost doing that, even in our small circles, began to celebrate. And so I don't want to hear somebody telling me across a pulpit that I just need to celebrate who I am as a follower of, because we're in the Lenten season too.
Right.
So I don't want somebody telling me across the pulpit that I just need to celebrate who I am according to my faith connection. No, I need to celebrate all of me.
Right. Right.
all of me. Because, while we're talking about the King of Kings, well, Jesus was a Jew. He wasn't even no Christian. He was a Jew. And if you look at those texts, Jesus goes back and he celebrates his story. He celebrates his history, because there were certain things that he was supposed to do as a young Jewish boy. And he did those things not just to fulfill the scripture, but to fulfill tradition according to his faith.
Right.
I just throw that in.
Right.
I'm just, as they said, I gave you that for free. And so I feel very strongly about the knowing of who and whose you are, and our stories, and our ancestors and those who have come before us. Is like, how many people know who their great grandparents are, who their great great grandparents are, and asking these questions about. I remember talking to my mama about whom and talking to my mama about what was happening between you and my daddy when you all conceived me.
Right.
What was happening
Right.
during my birth? Because here's the thing. You may not know all the stuff, but you can feel it. And there's something you can feel inside of you. It's like, hey, what was going on
At that time? Right.
at that time?
Right.
Because
Yes.
it helps you to understand
Hmm.
what was their tension, was there animosity, was there resentfulness, what was the love, what was happening? Because that's what you came into the world. That's the world that you entered into.
How it began to shape you, and
Ab-
we never think to even
to ask those things. And
ask that question. I mean,
sometimes,
and certainly say it out loud.
absolutely, because going back to what you're saying, be quiet, be
Yeah.
silent. And that silence really does not, as Audre Lorde said, does not save us. And so asking that question, and then getting my mother to tell the story, it helped to settle something inside of me, because I could feel it. I didn't know what it was specifically, but I could feel it. And so then from there you began to see, oh, okay. And then this is how your parents began to rear you. And the truth is, all the time we don't know what we're carrying. We don't we all the time,
Exactly.
you know what I mean? So even with your 3 children, we don't know all of the folks that we're carrying. We don't
At
know
all.
the seed, the fullness of that seed. And so now, where I am, and one of the things that I began to do even when I was carrying our children, is asking, who are you? And the 2 children that we have, before they ever got here, once I knew, okay, our babies are about to have babies.
Right.
Who are you? And I asked them very specifically, so I'll know how to nurture and nourish, because I'm a part of the village. I'm part of the village that shapes. And so I want to shape according to who you really are.
Yeah.
Not
And not who. Yes.
not who you want you to be, but who you really are. And according to the agreement you made before you ever got here.
Wow, that is so good.
And so,
Which also, in essence, by you doing that, it breaks a cycle, because you freed your child to be able to be honest and bring their child come in a whole different way, different space.
That's right. That's right.
I love that, because, hearing that, you go, wow, we are very in tune, and I, to what's going, and like it, in tune with what's happening around us, or we try to be, something's off, or I don't know what that is, but then because we can't ask those questions normally, then this guilt comes in, and then we create our own narratives, and we're walking around feeling guilty about something we have no idea about. and
Absolutely.
why I even feel that way. But I just feel guilty because something wasn't right at that time.
Right,
So
right,
it's
right.
my fault. Then it becomes my fault. And it had nothing to do with you.
And that's
That is so good. Oh
and
my
that's
goodness.
it. And so part of it to connect last time, part of what has helped me get here is the power of resting.
Mm,
The power of resting, the power of connecting and re-membering my own origin story. That has been something that's really been most recent. I would say just this week, I've been thinking about how I want to record for our grandchildren, our grand royals is what I
mhm,
call them. I
mhm.
want to record their origin story
Wow. I love that.
so that when they hear me, when they hear Lovey speak to them and they hear my voice, I want to speak to them about how we were so excited. Like, this would make me cry. How we
Mhm.
were so excited about your coming.
Yeah.
We were so excited about you gracing our lives with your presence that we
Mm,
started asking
mm,
questions of you before you even got here, so we would know.
mm,
We would
mm.
know, in our ancestral history or story, that our ancestors did not name Africans. They did not name the child right away. They
Okay.
they waited so that they could see, who is this being? Who is this? And they waited for different signs and signals. Then they named the baby.
That's really powerful.
And and
Mhm.
and these are
Makes perfect sense.
right. These are the kinds of things that we need to know, that is important, that we have, that we're informed like this, that we have ancestral information, because it connects us back to our
Mhm,
origin. It connects us back.
mhm.
It connects us back to the potency of our people, and that our story does not begin, does not end with enslavement.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and it takes us, those are the kinds of those, I mean, that's just my own, but my point about that is, we are in this microwavable everything. Everything is quick. Our theology is quick. Our responses are quick. Our everything is quick. And
Right.
we don't wait and pause. We don't even wait and pause to sit back and listen and wait to hear what's coming next, what we should say, what is the most impactful and potent thing that we can
Mhm.
really is going to land on people's hearts and not just in their heads. I'm not interested in just talking to be talking. I
Right.
sat this morning and just sat in silence, waiting to hear, let it stir up inside of me. I had no idea what I would say today. Zero. I pulled a few things out, but I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know what will materialize, but what I do know is that I'm anchored. What I do know is that those who have come before me will speak through me, and I'm clear about that. And that's enough. And that's enough. And that is enough. I don't need to have all of it. I really don't. I used to think that I did. I don't.
Right.
I really don't. What is my portion is my portion. Right. And so, but that piece of going back to the rest piece, that has enlivened me in ways that I could not have even dreamed of. And in fact, it has emboldened my dreams. It has things that I don't even know to do because I have rested and I've slowed my body down to the point of where I can hear and messages get sent in my dreams.
Mm.
And I and
Yes,
I
yes.
and I wake up with what the resource is, what the solution is, what the next step is. And, I mentioned this last time that I've been working on something, but I've been holding it probably now for 2.5 years.
Wow.
And here's the thing, I don't feel pressed to
To
do.
release it, right. Okay.
I don't feel pressed because I have been in a space before where, because we often think because we have an idea, the next step is to
Put
uh,
it out there.
put it
Right.
out there because we're just, because we've been told this messaging, and we gotta ask ourselves, where did the messaging come from? We've been told this story about, no, because if you don't, somebody else is going to steal it, somebody else is going
Yeah.
to take it. Listen, there is a great big old world. I know you have traveled out of the country. You've got your
Yeah.
passport stamped, couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So you know that the world is bigger than Tulsa, Oklahoma, right?
Right. Right.
The world is bigger than California. The world is bigger than Texas. The world is bigger than New York. The world is
Exactly.
bigger than Jamaica. If you've been, and I know you've been to the islands before,
Yes.
been out there where there's water, you can look out on the ocean and you can't tell where it ends.
At all. It's at all. It go yes.
You can't even say it starts over here on this shore. You can't even say that
No.
because you have no idea where it starts and where it ends. Right. And so that is the incubator of our dreams, that the divine God has given us such a powerful way to connect with all of these seeds that have been dropped inside of us. And we can plant. We don't have to plant just because we got the seed.
Wow, that's good because we definitely think we're supposed
We
that, we're not being a good steward if we don't do that.
because the other thing that we've been sold on is that every idea that we have has to be monetizable. We have to monetize it.
Yeah.
Everything, every single
Yeah.
item, and everything is not about monetization. So I've been sitting on this. I've been sitting, and I'll name it. I've been sitting on this. It's not even an idea because it's a movement around the rest room.
Mm. I
and
love that.
and
Ah,
calling very specifically Black women leaders, Black women, Black mothers, Black activists off of the front lines, Black preachers and ministers and body workers and healers and and calling them from their labor to rest.
well, I'll be the first to enter.
And so, so I have been cultivating and curating,
I
and
love that.
so for me, the first place that has to be a demonstration is me.
Right. Right.
And so that's been a part of my life, and I've been sitting with this for that length of time. And
So good.
yeah,
I mean, just the thought of that. And when you were saying and you were calling all the women that you were calling, and I was just, I'm a very visual, so I'm just seeing that visually, but it was like a whole woosah moment. I just felt everybody excel because no one has actually ever called someone to come in and just sit down and be still, and that it's okay.
yeah.
Come to this room because this is what you can do. You can literally sit down and breathe,
and
like
and yeah, and giving,
breathe.
yeah, yeah, Sherry, and giving women an opportunity. We're gonna give you time to sit it all down, because when you're not used to it. And here's a prime example. I'm sure you've seen it because of the work that you do. I didn't know that this was even out. Megan, the princess, right? I didn't know that her show was out. But one evening, I was saying, I need to find something soft. There was such an
So much,
onslaught
yeah,
of
yeah,
just insanity coming out. And so
right,
I just need to find something soft to watch. I'm going through, like how we normally do. I'm going through Netflix. I see her show. I turn it on. Best decision I ever made. And I'm reading all of these comments where where women, and very specifically Black women, are coming against this woman so with vitriolic and so vehemently, and with just nastiness around softness. But you know what I understood? I don't really have a lot of judgment for that, because I really understand we don't have any practice. We don't have a praxis of softness.
right.
We don't have a
Mm,
practice of luxuriousness. And
right,
when I say,
right.
I don't mean
It's not
your
about things.
it's
Yes,
about things. It's not that, like you can go and get a yacht and go out there.
yeah,
That's
not
part,
it. Right.
but that's not it. Like your soul
Yes,
needs refreshing. Your mind being so heavy with thought and labor and crisis and things and stuff, that when you lay down at night, a lot of you know how many people
yeah,
tell me, if I told you how many folks tell me what they have to take in order to shut their brains off at night?
right. It's insane.
You drugging yourself
Right.
be able to get a good night's sleep. And then most of those people who tell me that, they still say, I don't get a great night's sleep, but at least I can sleep for longer than what I could without taking that.
And it's so prevalent. It is insane.
That's
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about, to where your body needs the release of just being,
it does.
of stillness, to where I I don't have to I'm not listening to the onslaught of comments, especially if you're in the workplace. And I'm saying this very
Mm,
specifically for women who are supervisors and CEOs and managers. And maybe you're none of those things, but you're working in that cubicle and somebody is critiquing every single day.
what
The
do you
other
do?
folk, the other
Mhm.
folk know what you wear. They know what kind of car you drive. They know that you didn't wear that same outfit. You didn't wear that the next month. Like they saw that outfit in January, but they didn't see it in February. So they're clocking all of your stuff. They know
Right,
when you change your handbag. They know all these things about you, and they're trying to figure out, well, how, because they clocking, what they're also doing is clocking your pocketbook. Let's just be clear. So
right.
how do you afford that? Or most importantly, here it is. You shouldn't even have that.
Mhm.
Especially if I have it, you shouldn't have it.
Right, right.
You feel me? So
Yeah.
so there's all of this, and when do I get to sit down and somebody's not calling my name, or
Mhm.
family members not, telling me this thing, and this, that, and the third about somebody else in the family. I'm getting the family gossip. I'm getting the family crisis. I'm getting the family, all of it.
All
And,
of that.
and
Yes.
to be clear, it's not just the crisis that sometimes overwhelm us. It's also the crisis, because we good for, giving. It's like a sandwich. We're gonna give you a little bit of crisis, then we gonna bookend it with a little bit of joy, but it's gonna be a lot of chaos in the middle.
Right, right.
And so, when do I get a chance to just sit down and be? What are my dreams? And why do my dreams have to get put on the back burner, because
Mm,
we're excelling you right now,
right.
right? What does that mean? And it's not always a retreat. And my point about that is that we don't always have to go to a space or place in order to receive that. can we curate spaces and these pockets of peace and these pockets of joy to where that becomes the inside thing that comes from the inside of us and it exudes to the outside. And I don't feel obligated. I don't feel obligated to do anything. There's no printed program. We're going to do this, then we're going to do this. We're going to do, after we do that, we're going to do 3 things. No, let's come in and let's just be still and have a guided moment of someone who's been practicing it. And where we also get to grieve. We get to grieve parts of our life that no longer are.
Mm-hmm.
To grieve parts of our heart that are still broken because that person left, whether they left voluntarily or they left because they transitioned from this life to the next. And we're still grieving, but we don't have time to grieve because we jump right back into whatever we were doing before that occurred.
Right. Or because other people, you allow others to put time limits on how long you should go through that process.
And that's a whole nother, I mean, that is a whole, that's a whole nother thing, in and of itself. And so the things that, there are 2 spaces that I spend time in listening for, and that is, I should say 3. What does sisterhood really look like?
Mm.
How do we, how am I being called, me personally, Carmen? How is Carmen White-Yannick being called to blow the clarion call for us to rest? And then how do we deal with grief in a way where we can learn how to self-soothe and not spill our grief over because we don't have proper tools and spill our grief over into everything else.
Exactly.
And it becomes such a thing for everyone else because we don't know how to, we don't know what to do with ourselves with it because nobody taught us. And if you don't, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter that we're at these big ages. If you don't know, you just don't know.
Right.
Period. That's it. That's all. If you don't know, you just don't know. And so that's the part of my life now. And I really do. I sit with those who have raised me on a daily basis, and I sit with them and I ask questions because what I know, if we can believe God is still speaking, you don't even have to answer this for me, but you can't tell me that Miss Maxine ain't still talking to you about things she told you before she was here.
Yeah.
And things that she told you a long time ago that you may not have even believed.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah. We've had, yeah.
But once she exited this part on this side of the veil, there were some things that began to ring even more true. And you're like, oh, mama did tell me that.
Absolutely.
She did tell me that. Right?
Absolutely.
And so I do sit, and I know some people have issue with that, but have your issues, because what I know what I know, and people having issues with it, I actually don't care, but I was trying to say it in a nice way. But
I love that.
I was trying to say it in a nice way. But what I know for sure is that when we've had the benefit of parents, grandparents, teachers, folks who have influenced our lives and our making and our shaping, they don't stop doing that. What do we think the great cloud of witnesses is? They don't stop doing that because their bodies are no longer available and their physical presence is no longer available on this side. You cannot, energy never dies. and you can't
Right.
kill it.
Yeah.
You can't kill it. So that spirit never dies. And so if that is true, if you believe who Jesus dead, buried, resurrected, and if you believe that and you believe that those folks go back from whence they have come, then they also have the ability to communicate. And so I sit with those teachers. I do. And I give myself space to hear what's next for me and what's the impact that I should have right now. And I will tell you, that is the thing that rose inside of me this morning about being in this space with you right now.
Mm.
I knew, and this is not an egotistical thing, I knew that what I had to say and whatever we would talk about would have an impact on other people's lives. And then let me say this, semicolon, that is not to say, comma, that if I had not felt well, that I would not have contacted you and communicated that and said, I don't think that I feel well enough to,
Right.
even though I'm not being seen, but there still has to be a capacity to be able to deliver. And that is part of the reason why we need rest, because
Yeah.
you don't even know, there's no distinctions.
Right.
There's just I'm a press on. I press the
Mhm.
green button for on, and you just leave that green button on. And you never we don't ever press the red one to be off.
Right.
So we don't have any places of distinctions to where we can say, I actually have capacity to do this, or I don't I
Right.
have capacity, or I have enough capacity to do this much.
Right.
And then I have to be able to communicate that to whoever I am accountable to, which would have been you this morning, to say, Shari, I know you usually go this long, but I don't have capacity for that.
Right. Right.
And then you could have made a decision. Do you give me 30 minutes and then bring somebody else in? Right. I don't know. But I'm
Right.
saying, had that been the case, I would have communicated that. Well, when I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. I knew last night I'm going to, and here's another piece. I knew last night I don't feel amazing going to bed. How can I support myself?
Mm.
What I know, I don't have to be on until 12:15. So even if I wake up early, which I did, I woke up like at 6 something this morning. And so and I told myself this before I went to bed, even if I wake up early, I'm going to stay in the bed and allow my body to rest. And then I'm going to move into my day. I'm going to pay attention and listen to my body. And then when I get up, what do I need to do? How do I need to nourish my body? I know I'm going to need to eat.
Mhm.
I get on, and whatever it is that I eat must nourish me. So I got up, sauteed some onions, some red bell pepper, some kale, and made myself an omelet, sliced some avocado on top of it. Somebody getting hungry now, but
And right.
and,
And because I know she can throw down, y'all.
and slice myself some fresh avocado on top, put a little cheese on there, and then Tim had brought me back some smoked turkey from a barbecue place in Texas that we love. And so I, put that in the skillet like your mama used to do and your grandmama used to do back
Right.
in the day. That's what I did. And so I felt that over putting it in the air fryer. The air fryer is a new thing, but that skillet works. Come on.
Every time. Yes.
Every
Nothing like the skillet. Yes.
Right. So that's what I did, and had a cup of coffee made differently, because part of my, when I wasn't listening to my body, I'm going to make this point. when I wasn't listening to my body and I was allowing stress to rule my body, what then showed up, that equal to my A1C being elevated. So
Yeah.
I still want to enjoy my coffee. I'm now a month in, I probably drink 1 cup of coffee, maybe 2 in a week. And so coffee is different now. So I've learned that in order for me to have my coffee, I use the same creamer, but I add protein to it so it can combat the sugar.
Right.
And so, and I enjoyed that cup of coffee. I really did. And it's not too far off from the taste is not too far off from it's almost matching what I was drinking before, but this just happens to be healthier for me.
Better. Right.
Yeah, and so I did that. And then I just sat in silence, waiting for what would stir. And then when I heard it, then I came back to my room and started, pulling some things up. And I've said some of the stuff, but I didn't say all of it. But
Hmm.
I didn't need to. I really didn't. And I'm not holding myself to some
Right.
unachievable standard that somebody else created. No, this is what I did for myself. And when I did all those things to support me, to support myself, I feel I could, without making something up, without making up and faking it until I make it. I
Right.
told you, I told you what was authentically
Right.
true and factual for me. I feel amazing. When you ask me, I said, I feel amazing
Right.
because I actually do. I actually do. And when we rest, we don't have to fake it till we make it.
Make it. That
It
is so powerful.
It
Yeah.
can be authentic. It can be so authentic. And you feel good about saying it because you know you're not lying.
Right.
You know you're not making stuff up because perhaps maybe that's what you think that somebody wants to hear on the other end.
And yeah, we're so good at doing that.
We're
And I,
so Go
and
ahead.
I said, I hate to, because we've got to bring it to a close.
We do. We do.
But I'm like, my head is spinning. I'm like, okay, so like once a month, I don't know. I'm just like, Lord, you lead because it's so good. It's so potent. It's so needed. I know there's still a continuation. It just is. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to say until next time.
Until next time,
Because
I'm
it's so good. This is so needed. I was like, oh, we're going over today. And I love that when you said, I just said, it's just, it will have to flow. I'm going to maximize every second that I'm allowed. I'm going to take all of it.
Well, I think I said to myself today, I said, I think what I'm going to do is I may go live after we get off,
Yeah,
just to talk about a little bit more about what we talked about and where I am. And so I may do that just to spend a few moments, just to infuse the day with a little bit more
absolutely.
anxiety, if you will, over the nonsense that we get flooded with every day.
Every day. And I will be flowing into that as with you as well because this is so invaluable. And I absolutely love everything about the restroom. That is everything right there because we don't know. I'm processing all of that because it's like just the thought process of actually really doing that is a whole thing. Going
Mhm,
through my like really just rest and sit down and be still on purpose and not feel guilt. I mean, just all the things in my head this way and not feel guilty.
mhm.
It just breathe. And that I keep saying it because it's just like, wow, it's just nothing required but just to sit and be still and breathe and
Yeah,
let be. And we really have to be taught how to do that. We just make those statements, but application, nah, we're not doing it.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And So I do. I look forward to
The
whenever.
next time.
Yeah,
Yes.
whenever.
Yeah, I will be in touch. So, well, we're gonna have to get together and talk.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Well, I love you dearly. You
I
know
love
that you
you
have
too.
been a tremendous blessing. Ultimate. I knew it was going to show up and show out, and it would be closed out in no other grander fashion than my girl Carmen White-Yannick, who brought all of it today. And I pray everyone can hear, receive, and at some point sit down and be still and take a rest.
Blessings, everybody.
We will talk soon. Have
Peace
a
and love.
great one.
You too. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye.